Have you ever looked in a mirror and realized that the person staring back at you is living on yesterday's habits? If you keep thinking the same thoughts, making the same excuses, and reacting the same way, then next year will simply become a copy of today. But if you stay with me until the end of this video, you may discover how to become someone even your past self would never recognize. There comes a moment in every person's life when they understand that no one is coming to rescue them. The world does not pause because you feel unprepared. Time keeps moving, and every sunrise quietly asks the same question: who are you becoming? The Stoics believed that every day offered a chance to begin again. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that he controlled only his own thoughts and actions. Everything else belonged to fate. That simple idea has transformed ordinary people into extraordinary ones for thousands of years. If you truly want to create a new version of yourself in 2026, then stop searching for motivation. Motivation fades with emotion. Discipline survives every season. Before we begin, write in the comments, "I choose discipline." That single sentence is more than a comment. It is a promise to yourself. And if you're ready to transform your mindset with timeless Stoic wisdom, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join a community committed to becoming stronger, calmer, and wiser every single day. The first transformation begins with your identity. Most people wake up asking what they have to do today. A Stoic wakes up asking who they must become today. There is a powerful difference. Imagine a sculptor standing before a giant block of marble. Every strike of the hammer removes something unnecessary. The sculptor is not creating the statue. He believes the masterpiece already exists inside the stone. His job is simply to remove everything that doesn't belong. Your life works exactly the same way. You don't need to become someone completely different. You need to remove the habits, fears, distractions, and excuses hiding your true character. A young man once spent years complaining about his life. He blamed the economy, his family, his friends, and even luck. One day an elderly craftsman invited him into his workshop. The old man handed him a rough piece of wood and asked him to carve a beautiful bird. The young man became frustrated. "This wood is terrible," he complained. The old craftsman smiled and replied, "The bird was never trapped inside the wood. It was trapped inside your imagination." That sentence changed everything. The young man realized that the greatest obstacle had never been outside him. It had always been the limits he accepted in his own mind. The same truth applies to every one of us. Your future self is waiting beneath layers of doubt. Every excuse you remove reveals a stronger version of yourself. Every complaint you abandon creates space for gratitude. Every disciplined action shapes the person you are becoming. Stop introducing yourself with your past failures. Stop saying, "I'm always lazy." Stop saying, "I've never been disciplined." Stop saying, "This is just who I am." Those are not facts. They are stories. And stories can be rewritten. The Stoics believed character was built through repeated actions. You become what you repeatedly practice. If you practice patience, you become patient. If you practice courage, you become courageous. If you practice self-control, eventually self-control becomes your nature. That means every small decision matters. Every morning you choose between comfort and growth. Every conversation you choose between reacting and responding. Every challenge you choose between quitting and enduring. These choices seem insignificant in the moment, but together they become your identity. A river doesn't carve through stone because of one powerful wave. It succeeds because it never stops flowing. Your transformation will happen the same way. Not through one dramatic moment, but through thousands of quiet victories nobody else will ever see. The days you wake up early without applause. The moments you stay calm while everyone else loses control. The evenings you continue working while others waste hours chasing distractions. These invisible victories eventually become visible success. Remember this. The world celebrates results. Stoicism celebrates character. Results may come and go. Character remains. If your identity becomes stronger than your circumstances, then no setback can permanently defeat you. The next lesson may be the hardest of all. You must stop negotiating with your comfort. Comfort is one of the greatest thieves of potential. It whispers that tomorrow will be easier. It tells you one more hour of sleep won't matter. It convinces you that waiting is safer than acting. But every day spent serving comfort is another day your future waits. A traveler once reached two roads deep inside a forest. One path was wide, smooth, and pleasant. The other was steep, rocky, and exhausting. Almost everyone chose the easy road. Years later they arrived exactly where they had always been. The few who climbed the difficult path discovered a breathtaking view that changed their lives forever. Life rewards those willing to endure temporary discomfort for lasting growth. When your alarm rings tomorrow morning, remember this story. Ask yourself one question. Which road am I choosing today? The moment you decide to walk the harder road, something unexpected happens. The world doesn't suddenly become easier. The challenges don't disappear. The obstacles don't move aside. Instead, you begin to change. That is the secret so many people miss. They spend years trying to change their circumstances while neglecting the only thing they truly control, themselves. The Stoics understood that storms are inevitable. Rain falls on every roof. Hardship visits every family. Loss touches every heart. But what separates one person from another is not the storm they face. It is the strength they develop while standing in it. Imagine two trees growing side by side. One grows inside a protected garden where the wind never reaches it. The other stands alone on a rocky hill, battered by fierce storms every season. Years later, the garden tree looks beautiful from a distance, but its roots are shallow. The lonely tree on the hill is scarred, twisted, and weathered. Yet its roots run deep into the earth. When the greatest storm finally comes, the garden tree falls. The weathered tree remains standing. Your struggles are not trying to destroy you. They are giving your roots something to hold on to. Every disappointment can become wisdom. Every rejection can become confidence. Every failure can become experience. Only if you allow it. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? The Stoic asks, what is this trying to teach me? That single question changes everything. Instead of becoming bitter, you become wiser. Instead of becoming weaker, you become stronger. Instead of becoming a victim, you become a student of life. There was once a young athlete who dreamed of becoming a champion. Every morning before sunrise, he trained while everyone else slept. His friends laughed at him. They told him he was wasting his youth. Years passed, and he lost more competitions than he won. Many people expected him to quit. But after every defeat, he returned to training with even greater focus. Someone finally asked him why he kept going after so many losses. He smiled and answered, every defeat teaches me something that victory never could. Eventually, he became the champion everyone admired. People called him naturally gifted. They never saw the thousands of mornings when he chose discipline over comfort. Your future success will look exactly the same. People will call you lucky. They will say everything came easily. They will never see the invisible battles you fought inside your own mind. That is why your greatest competition is never another person. It is the version of yourself that wants to quit. Every morning, two voices wake up with you. One says, stay comfortable. Rest a little longer. You deserve an easy day. The other whispers, get up. Your future is waiting. The voice you feed becomes your destiny. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Think about that for a moment. Not your income. Not your reputation. Not your possessions. Your thoughts. If your mind is filled with fear, your world becomes frightening. If your mind is filled with gratitude, your world becomes abundant. If your mind is filled with purpose, every obstacle becomes another opportunity to grow. Guard your mind carefully. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your response. Not every argument deserves your energy. A wise person knows that peace is more valuable than proving someone wrong. Picture a calm lake early in the morning. The surface reflects the mountains perfectly because nothing disturbs it. Throw one stone into the water, and the reflection disappears beneath countless ripples. Your mind is that lake. Every unnecessary argument, every negative comment, every pointless distraction, is another stone. Protect your peace. Not because life is easy, but because your clarity is your greatest strength. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are rarely the loudest people in the room. They are usually the calmest. While others react emotionally, they observe. While others complain, they prepare. While others panic, they remain steady. Calm is not weakness. Calm is controlled power. When everyone around you loses control, your composure becomes your advantage. The next step in creating a new version of yourself is learning the value of silence. Not every achievement needs to be announced. Not every goal needs to be shared. A seed grows underground long before anyone sees the tree. If the seed demanded attention every day, it would never have enough energy to grow. Your dreams are like that seed. Protect them. Nurture them. Work quietly. Let your actions speak before your words ever do. There was an old craftsman known throughout his village for building the strongest bridges. Visitors constantly asked him the secret. He simply smiled and continued working. Years later, people finally understood. His bridges answered every question better than his words ever could. Become the kind of person whose life is the explanation. Don't convince people. Show them. Don't promise success. Build it. Don't chase respect. Earn it through consistency. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Anyone can stay motivated for one day. Very few people remain disciplined for 1 year. The person who improves just 1% every day will eventually leave behind those who rely only on motivation. Remember this whenever progress feels slow. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. A book is written one page at a time. A strong character is built one decision at a time. Never underestimate small victories. One healthy meal. One workout. One chapter read. One difficult conversation handled with patience. One promise kept to yourself. Those small victories quietly become an extraordinary life. One day, you will wake up and realize that the life you once dreamed about has quietly become your reality. Not because of one lucky break. Not because someone finally believed in you. Not because the world suddenly became fair. But because you refused to stop becoming the person you promised yourself you would be. That is how transformation happens. It is silent. It is slow. And for a long time, it feels invisible. Most people quit during this stage because they mistake invisible progress for no progress. They plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. When nothing appears, they walk away. But nature has never worked that way. Neither does character. A bamboo tree spends years growing beneath the surface before it suddenly rises high into the sky. To someone who doesn't understand the process, it looks like success happened overnight. It didn't. The roots were preparing for the height. Your discipline is building roots. Every early morning. Every temptation you resist. Every distraction you ignore. Every promise you keep to yourself. These are roots. Never become discouraged because other people cannot see them. One day, they will only notice the tree. They will call you fortunate. They will admire your confidence. They will praise your success. What they won't see are the countless moments when you chose growth instead of comfort. There was once an old fisherman who returned to the sea every morning before sunrise. His neighbors laughed because some days he came home with very little. One young boy asked him, "Why do you keep going when the ocean gives you so little?" The fisherman smiled and replied, "The ocean gives me more than fish. It teaches me patience." Years later, the boy became a successful businessman. When people asked him the secret of his success, he remembered the fisherman. He said, "Patience allowed me to stay where others gave up." That is the Stoic way. Patience is not waiting while doing nothing. Patience is continuing to work without becoming discouraged. Your results may be delayed. But delayed does not mean denied. Keep showing up. Keep learning. Keep improving. Eventually, your effort will meet its reward. Another lesson every Stoic understands is this. You cannot control how people see you. You can only control how you live. Some people will misunderstand your silence. Others will criticize your ambition. Some may even become uncomfortable as they watch you grow. Do not let that stop you. Imagine an eagle flying high above the mountains. It never argues with the crows below. It never flies lower just to prove itself. It simply continues toward the sky. Become like that eagle. Not arrogant. Not proud. Just focused. Every minute spent trying to convince people is a minute stolen from your purpose. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. Protect your peace. The world is filled with distractions disguised as opportunities. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every battle deserves your participation. Wisdom is knowing the difference. As your discipline grows, your circle may become smaller. Do not fear that. Growth often requires solitude. The strongest steel is forged in intense heat. The brightest stars shine in the darkest sky. The strongest character is often built during the loneliest seasons. If you find yourself walking alone, remember this. You are not being abandoned. You are being prepared. Preparation often feels like isolation. But isolation can become the birthplace of greatness. Use those quiet moments wisely. Read books that strengthen your mind. Exercise to strengthen your body. Reflect to strengthen your character. Pray or meditate to strengthen your spirit. Little by little, you will become someone who no longer depends on outside approval. And that is true freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is mastering yourself. The person who cannot control their emotions is controlled by them. The person who cannot control their desires becomes a servant to them. The Stoics believed the greatest victory was not over another person. It was over yourself. Every day you resist anger, you win. Every day you choose kindness over revenge, you win. Every day you remain disciplined when excuses appear, you win. Collect these victories. No one else may notice them. But they are shaping the person you are becoming. Remember, 2026 is not simply another year on the calendar. It is another opportunity. An opportunity to become calmer. An opportunity to become wiser. An opportunity to become stronger. The question is not whether the year will change. The question is whether you will. 1 year from now, your future self will either thank you or regret today's decisions. That future is being written right now. With every choice. With every habit. With every thought. So choose wisely. Choose discipline. Choose courage. Choose patience. Choose growth. Because the greatest project you will ever work on is yourself. And there is no greater investment than becoming the person you were created to be. Sometimes, the greatest transformation doesn't begin with a loud decision. It begins with a quiet one. A decision that no one else notices. A decision made in the silence of an ordinary morning when you tell yourself, "Today, I will not be the person I was yesterday." That single promise has the power to change an entire life. Never underestimate what one disciplined day can become. One disciplined day becomes one disciplined week. One disciplined week becomes one disciplined month. One disciplined month becomes one disciplined year. And one disciplined year creates a person that even their past self would struggle to recognize. People often ask, when will my life change? The better question is, what am I doing today that my future self will thank me for? Every choice is casting a vote. Every habit is writing your future. Every action is becoming part of your identity. Choose carefully. Imagine carrying 2 buckets every day. One bucket is filled with fear. The other is filled with courage. Every decision you make pours water into one of them. If you constantly feed fear, it becomes stronger. If you constantly feed courage, it eventually overflows into every area of your life. The same principle applies to confidence. Confidence is not something you find. Confidence is something you build. You build it every time you keep a promise to yourself. When you say you will wake up early, and you do. When you promise yourself you will exercise, and you do. When you decide not to react in anger, and you don't. These moments may seem small. But your mind is watching. With every promise you keep, your mind begins to trust you again. And once you trust yourself, there is very little the outside world can do to shake you. There was once a blacksmith who spent decades making swords. A young apprentice watched him strike glowing steel thousands of times. Finally, the apprentice asked, "Why do you keep hitting the same piece of metal?" The blacksmith smiled. "I am not striking the steel. I am shaping it. Life is striking you every day. Every challenge. Every delay. Every disappointment. Every sacrifice. If you see these moments as punishment, you will become bitter. But if you see them as the hammer shaping your character, you will become unbreakable." The Stoics never wished for an easier life. They wished for greater strength. Because they knew that strength lasts longer than comfort. As this year unfolds, there will be days when you feel tired. Days when you doubt yourself. Days when nothing seems to go your way. Do not let one difficult day convince you that you have a difficult life. The sun still rises after the darkest night. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think. Keep walking. Keep learning. Keep growing. Remember, the oak tree does not become mighty in a single season. It stands through years of wind, rain, heat, and cold. Its greatness comes from endurance. Your greatness will come the same way. Not through perfection, but through persistence. So when you feel like quitting, remember why you started. Remember the person you promised to become. Remember the life you refused to settle for. And remember that every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. The world doesn't need another person chasing applause. It needs more people who quietly master themselves. Be one of those people. Let your discipline speak louder than your words. Let your character speak louder than your emotions. Let your consistency speak louder than your excuses. Years from now, people may ask what changed you. They may expect you to mention a book, a mentor, or a lucky opportunity. But you'll know the truth. You changed because one day you stopped waiting for life to transform you. And you chose to transform yourself. That is the Stoic path. That is the path of purpose. That is the path of lasting strength. And that path begins today. The journey doesn't end here. In many ways, it is only beginning. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, there will be no dramatic music. No audience applauding your decision. No one standing beside your bed reminding you of your dreams. There will only be you. And a choice. That choice will seem ordinary. Get up or stay in bed. Read or scroll. Train or make another excuse. Stay calm or lose your temper. Speak with purpose or waste your words. Those moments may feel too small to matter. But never forget this truth. Your destiny is hidden inside ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. A single brick does not build a house. But place one brick every day, and eventually a home stands where there was once empty ground. Your life is built the same way. Every disciplined choice is another brick. Every act of courage is another brick. Every moment of patience is another brick. One day you'll look back and realize you didn't build a better year. You built a better person. There is an old story about a traveler crossing a desert. The heat was unbearable. His water was almost gone. The distance seemed impossible. Halfway through the journey, another traveler turned back. "This desert is too much," he said. "It will never end." But the first traveler kept taking one step after another. Hours later, he reached an oasis. The difference between the two travelers wasn't strength. It wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It was one more step. Success often belongs to the person willing to take one more step when everyone else has stopped. When your mind tells you to quit, take one more step. When your emotions tell you to give up, take one more step. When your progress feels invisible, take one more step. That extra step is often where your future begins. Remember, your greatest enemy is rarely failure. It is comfort disguised as safety. Comfort whispers, "You can start tomorrow." Discipline replies, "Start today." Comfort says, "No one will notice." Discipline says, "I will notice." Comfort says, "You've done enough." Discipline asks, "Can you become just 1% better?" Listen carefully to the voice you obey. Because that voice is shaping your future. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that each day could be his last. Not to create fear, but to create urgency. Imagine how differently you would live if you truly understood that time is your most valuable possession. Would you still waste hours arguing online? Would you still postpone your dreams? Would you still allow small distractions to steal your future? Probably not. You would become intentional. You would protect your mornings. You would guard your attention. You would speak with kindness. You would work with purpose. You would love deeply. And you would stop waiting for the perfect time. Because the perfect time has never existed. There is only now. Now is where discipline is built. Now is where courage is tested. Now is where your new identity is born. So as 2026 unfolds before you, don't ask for fewer problems. Ask for greater wisdom. Don't ask for an easier road. Ask for stronger feet. Don't ask life to become lighter. Become stronger. That is the Stoic way. Strong enough to endure hardship. Wise enough to remain humble. Calm enough to think clearly. Disciplined enough to keep moving forward regardless of circumstances. If you can become that person, then no setback will define you. No criticism will control you. No failure will destroy you. Because your strength will no longer depend on what happens around you. It will come from what has been built within you. Years from now, someone may ask how your life changed. You won't point to one extraordinary day. You'll remember the ordinary mornings when you chose discipline. The quiet evenings when you chose learning instead of distraction. The lonely moments when you refused to give up. Those were the moments that created a new you. And if you're still watching, it tells me you're serious about becoming that person. So I have one final challenge for you. When this video ends, don't simply move on to the next one. Take 5 minutes in complete silence. Write down the person you want to become by the end of this year. Not what you want to own. Not how much money you want to make. Write down the qualities you want to embody. More disciplined. More patient. More courageous. More grateful. More peaceful. Then, every single morning, read those words before you begin your day. Let them become your compass. Because a person with a clear direction is far more powerful than a person with endless motivation. Thank you for watching Stoic Ascension. If this message challenged your thinking, leave a comment with the words, "A new me begins today." I read your comments, and they inspire this growing community of people committed to mastering themselves. Share this video with someone who is ready to transform their life through discipline and Stoic wisdom. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications for more powerful lessons that will help you build an unshakable mind, a resilient spirit, and a life guided by timeless Stoic principles.